Hey, Clean Impact rock stars. Thank you so much for being part of the world's greatest cleaning team, for doing your part, for being out there to help keep people healthy and safe, and most importantly, being a good example for your family, your loved ones, and those that are looking to you. But even more important than that, it's building the self-confidence that you need to find fulfillment and happiness in life, right? By keeping the promises that you made to yourself, by making those little deposits into being your best version. I hope and I pray that you are noticing a little bit of a difference. I hope and pray that you're utilizing some of the tools and the resources and the practices and techniques that we're talking about and the disciplines that we constantly discuss to help elevate your feeling of fulfillment and to help elevate your standard of excellence that you've created for yourself. You know, being your best version of yourself, showing up for those who need you, being the strength, being the backbone, being the listener, be whatever it is, your standard of excellence that you're going for. You have to make sure that you are making those deposits in order to achieve that standard. You have to make sure you're putting that energy out there to let it know what your standard is. And remember, the standard here at Clean Impact and the conversations we have, our standard of excellence is higher than anybody else that I know of, because I see such potential and such greatness in our team, in our culture, and the things that we are doing together to try to grow each other, to try to inspire and try to influence each other to become the amazing human beings that God created us in to be, live up to our full potential. When we put our heads on the pillows at night, we feel really good about what we're doing. It can only happen if we have that standard of excellence set super high. So that's why it is important to come to the huddle. This Saturday, food will be served at 10 a.m. The huddle will start at 10:15 a.m. Live here in person here at the Mold. If you can't make it in for whatever reason, it makes my heart really sad, first off. Secondly, we're going to be putting it out there on YouTube for sure. I'm not sure about Facebook yet. So YouTube for sure. Everybody subscribed here. Hit the subscribe button so that way you know that you're going to get notified whenever we're getting on and coming up. We got a lot to cover though. A lot of big things are happening. We want to go through the review challenge that we put out there and see where we came in on that. We've got some folks that were polling in some big numbers. We have some folks that still need to get out there and be confident in themselves and what they're doing and they're building, and leave those reviews out there, those requests for reviews, because of the work and the energy you're doing. You have to be confident in yourself, guys. That's that standard of excellence. If your standard's way up here and you know you're performing, you know you're giving it everything you have, that review should be a no-brainer. You should be able to put that out there with confidence, walk out with your chest out, knowing that that's going to bang that review out in a 5-star because of the work that you're putting in. But you have to have that energy. You have to have that drive. You have to have that desire. And most importantly, you have to have those high standards, and you have to live those high standards. You can't just talk them and wolf these high standards. You got to be about them. You got to be about them in your soul, and you got to be about them in your heart. And nowhere in there did I say that those are going to be perfect. You're never going to fail. You're never going to fall on your face, because I fail all the time. I've screwed up more in life than most people can imagine, but we've made it to this point because we can continue to grow ourselves. We can continue to be a different person today than we were yesterday, to this year than we were last year, this century than before we were or decade before last decade. We can continue to improve as long as we are making these little deposits, as long as we're having these conversations, and we keep repeating this over and over and over again until it becomes part of your constitution. And before you know it, it becomes part of your ring's constitution and your circle and your culture of your family and your friends that you love around are building upon this foundation that you are building right now. They're being able to do the same things you're doing and find that fulfillment, guys. And it starts with us. It starts with us. It starts with us to set that standard and to elevate the people around us. I was mentoring some kids today, and I built core values for them. And one of the core values was we raise each other up. We raise each other up, right? If somebody's goofing off or acting a fool, you raise them up. But you have to be humble enough to be raised up yourself whenever you're being the one acting a fool. If somebody comes to try to raise you up. It's these standards that we're trying to instill so that we can find fulfillment, so that we can build a culture that embraces greatness, and not the culture of the past where they said everything was easy and everybody's going to be getting all this stuff and it's free and everything's fun and there's no worries, everybody gets a trophy. That's not the reality. That's not how life works, and people are realizing that now. When they're realizing it's tough, then they feel the world's against them. They're not. The world's always been hard. You were just told a lie. But we're building this constitution and this fortitude of having personal excellence and a standard of excellence that's bigger than we can imagine, so that we can help steer the ship in the right direction towards good Christian values, towards good values, period, towards being a good person, towards showing up for your family, towards not being emotional, towards not being a wreck, towards not breaking down every time something happens, but instead taking a breath and thinking through all of it, not acting emotionally, walk the cubes that we've talked about in the past. It all happens because we can have conversations like this. It all happens because we all know deep down inside we're built for greatness. God built us for greatness, and let's go after it and get it. So we had to be at the meeting on Saturday to be able to check that out. So Mike was talking about in his videos about using alarms. I still use alarms to this day. I use alarms all day long. They're going off because if I'm sitting there jamming through some work, I'm in flow, man. I'm not paying attention to the time. And my next meeting's coming up, I have an alarm set to remind me to get my butt up and go to the next meeting. That is very, very important. So, Mike, and that is how another way to elevate and create your standard of excellence. To adhere to the standard of excellence is using the tools and resources like Mike spits all the time and drops bombs all the time about what we can do to be our best version, what we can do to elevate ourselves and increase that standard until we achieve our standard of excellence that we know we're all capable of. So I appreciate everything that everybody's doing. I appreciate y'all being part of the team. Please come to the live, to the huddle. Let us know. We talked about some breakfast that we're going to be having. So it's not going to be a surprise where we're going to break out, but it's going to be delicious. So I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.